Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. For those that are watching later, welcome Jennifer. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I wanted to go over with you guys because it's a big question for when you are starting a fitness plan, a diet, or even just beginning to track. A common app that everybody uses, or that I have all my clients use, is MyFitnessPal. And it's not as intuitive as a lot of people would think. And I understand that. So I wanted to be able to go over a couple of the just certain things that can make life easier. Just 3 different points here, such as inputting your macros in correctly and how to set those in the app once you figure it out, how to add a recipe and meals so that you can go back and you're not trying to add the same thing over and over again, especially if you've meal prepped and or you have the same meal every night, day, or something like that. Breakfast, if you have eggs in the morning, 3 eggs in the morning, toast and butter, and you don't want to just keep inputting that, easy ways you just create a meal. And then how to just begin searching for the right things when you are out and about at restaurants or traveling. You can't always find exactly what you are eating that's in front of you, because when you're at a restaurant, you don't know exactly the oils they're using, the butters. And so when you search chicken, obviously, there's more calories in that. How do we figure out then how do we account for that? How do you add in for that, and what I do to be able to account for that? So I am going to share my screen here and go to the app. And if you have MyFitnessPal, you can follow along, or you can watch right here. Go share. Awesome. Get out this and pull up my app. All right, give me 1 second. Get a screen share. There we are. There we go. So you should be able to see my screen. If you do, just can you give me, actually, Jennifer, can you unmute and just let me know that you can see my screen? Awesome, you can. Awesome, cool. I just wanted to make sure. This is my first time doing this. So as you can see, this is the screen that comes up initially, the unpaid app. I used to pay for the premium. If you are using it every day, it does make life easier. I highly recommend the premium. It was a nice feature when I was using it. Right now, I'll be completely honest, I'm not tracking as diligently just because of my current goals. But when I do go back to tracking a little bit more, I am going to probably purchase the premium again. So not an ad, just something that really does make life easier if you are trying to use some of the features I'm going to show you here. So first thing that we're going to do is inputting your macros into your MyFitnessPal for your goal. So you can see up there my nutrients remaining. I set my calculator to always show my macronutrients focus. Honestly, I think it is something that has been saved since I was a premium member. I always showed that originally, and I still think it's a premium feature, but I never switched it back. And I'm afraid if I click the calorie focus, it will now allow me to go back. So that's one of the reasons you should consider the premium. I'm not going to touch that though, because I do not want to mess up my luck. So first thing we're going to do is inputting your macros. You're going to come over to more. It's at the bottom right-hand corner. The iPhone and Android should be similar. I've always used iPhone though, so I am sorry for you Android users. You're going to come down here to, you've got a big list here, come down to goals. This is where you're going to be able to go to find where you're going to start with your macros. Everything here you can set for your starting weight, your current weight, your goal weight. If you're tracking, when you set your weekly goal, it's going to pretty much autofill what it assumes you should be eating, what your macros should look like. We are going to input it manually because we're coming from using ours from the calculator I gave you, and that's a little bit more accurate. So you're going to click down here on the nutrition goals, calorie, carbs, protein, and fat. This is going to bring up your dashboard where you can actually manipulate and change your macros and set them to where you want. Now, one of the cool features of the premium is that you can actually set exactly in grams. So I still think I can. again, I am not going to switch over to the percentage because I would hate to lose some of my features that got locked in. But if you switch over to percentages, it is the same thing. When you are calculating out your macros, unfortunately, when you're using percentages, you might have to round up or round down. That's okay. Just get as close as you can when you are using the free app. That's perfectly fine. You know where you're at or know where you should be. So if it's a matter of 3 macros off when you're putting in fat, if that was to be 127 down here at my fat, then, you know, whatever, I know that I have to eat 124. So that's just one of the downsides of not being able to set it exactly when you're in the free version. All right. So that's the first part though. So that's just how you set your macros, how you set and input your macros for your goal, where you've gotten from your calculator. Do you have any questions, anything at all, Jennifer, since you're here? Make sure no one else is in the room. Yeah. Good. All right. Let's see here. I'm good. Awesome. Let me move the chat over. Next thing is just how do you add a recipe? So like I said, when you have more than 1 meal a week, or if you're meal prepping, if you are, so there is a difference between the recipes and meals. So the recipes, when you enter in here, are things that you might make every week. Say a crock pot meal, say something on, say you meal prep the same taco kind of bowl every week. That's a recipe. How many servings, and especially if this is for families, if you are trying to track for families, it makes it nice because when you come over here, so I'll go back just to make sure I explain what I just did. Go from home to more, you're going to my meals, recipes, and foods. Down here, I create a recipe. This is already some recipes I've inputted prior. You see that I have some meals here, a couple of the foods that I've put in. What this is, so recipes are for, let's say, my chicken pasta. It comes with 4 servings. The way it works is you input your ingredients into here. I'll actually go ahead and create a new recipe. The cool thing about this is if you come from Pinterest, or you have a website that you get recipes from, typically, you can actually link it and add it from the web. And if it's pretty good at reading out the ingredients and being able to read out what's on that page. So you don't have to do any of the work, but I always input the ingredients manually. You give your recipe a title. You put how many servings it's going to serve. So if you have like a dish that is divided up into 4 or 6 sections, awesome. You put how many servings it's going to feed, and then you input your ingredients down the list. Now, let's just say, for example, pasta. I'm just going to put pasta. It's going to serve 4 people tonight, and I'm going to put some beef in there. I'm going to, and every new line is the new ingredient you're going to put. Onions, and oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, we're clicking all over. I'm using a tripod and trying to type. And then let's see, can't forget about the wheat noodles and pasta sauce. So as you type this in, once you're done, I'll leave it simple. I click next. It pulls up matched. It looks, does these look right? So you can go in there. If nothing, let's say I'm not using 93% or not 93% lean beef, that's okay. I can search for alternate. Maybe it didn't get the number of servings right. I can put the number of servings that I'm using. Maybe I'm using 2 pounds. Maybe I'm using, it just has pounds there, but I can put 2 pounds, 1.5, whatever. I can go in and add an ingredient. I can edit the ingredients, but down here you see 642 calories per serving. All right, so you can change that serving. Maybe it actually came out to be 6 people, changes the serving and the calories immediately. I can go ahead and I can add this in and save and log it. Save and log it will add it to my calendar today. Saving recipe shouldn't take too long. Awesome. So right here, pasta. I'm having it for breakfast, I guess. Number of servings, and okay. So I just added that food, high on sodium, I guess, but That way it is in there. So if I go to add that food again down here at food, let's say I'm having another serving, your recipes, it'll be right there. There's the recipe I just created. Click right there and we're good to go. I could actually input that again, add, there's a nice serving of pasta. All right. Does that help? Does that make sense on the recipes? Just give me a yes in the chat if you can, Jennifer, just to make sure I didn't miss anything there. All right. And then as far as adding in a meal, the difference between the meal is when you go to add in a meal, this is typically what you meal prep for yourself. This is something that I usually add in from, you can see here my shake that I make or have made in the past. You can add in directions as far as how to make the shake. You can add in your ingredients, and it's just another thing that you can add in. It's single servings typically. You can take a picture of it as well. This is just a way to remember meals that you've made. Maybe you get creative at lunch one day. Maybe you're adding a couple things together. Maybe you hit your macros perfectly. Take a picture of your exact lunch, put everything that you had in there and how to make it, and there you're good to go. So it's a way to also share, I believe, the meals that you make and recipes go public. Foods are when you go to create a food, you are adding in things that aren't necessarily on a package, on a menu. I'm not going to add any in because I don't have anything necessarily, but there's some things that I have had in the past that they have all the ingredients on the back of, or on the label, but when you go to search in MyFitnessPal, nothing comes up. So the City Blends One Smoothie, those macros come from the gym, World's Gym that I go to, and they have a smoothie drink called the Poser, and their macros are posted up there, but when you go to search the Poser City Blend Smoothie, it doesn't pop up on MyFitnessPal. So I added in the food because that's a typical smoothie that I'll get from time to time, and I add it in as a food so that every time I want to get that smoothie, I don't have to go in and add it every time. I can go here, add it to diary. You can see that I added in what their macros were up on the board: 3 grams of fat, 23 grams of protein, 23 grams of carbs. So you can edit it. You can have all the nutrition here if you are, if it has all that information for you to enter. But again, just another way to keep your life easy from having to re-enter over and over again with foods, recipes, and meals. The thing that I use the most is probably the recipes, just because when I meal prep, I can break up into all the servings. And also when you're making for others, if you have a family, significant other, kids, it makes it easy to be able to have some go-to recipes that you already make, tailor them to your nutrition, and then you don't have to enter them every week. So, all right, I'm gonna go back to my home. Wow, looks like I'm doing well on my calories already, but that's just from the pasta. So, all right, we're gonna be searching. So searching for the right things, how to search for the right things when you're out and about. I did want to touch base on this for everybody as well, because when you are out and about, let me go here. When you are out and about at a restaurant, it can be difficult to know exactly, if they bring you out chicken, asparagus, and everything, what kind of butters are they using? What kind of oils? We all know that when we go out, they're using extra things. We don't know what everything's cooked with, what their proprietary blends are, and that's fine. That is fine, because when we're out and about, that's expected. It's hard to track, and we're not going to be nuts unless we have goals and carrying around Tupperware to go out and eat with our families, with our friends. That's just not a way to have a social life. And of course, I've done it. If you have goals in the near future, it's sometimes necessary, but not always when you are just trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle and just trying to build muscle. It's a little bit easier to know how to, or a little bit better to know how to just be able and order and how to track that. So when you are out at the restaurant, one of the best things that I have found for when just searching chicken in general is the NCC chicken here. I use NCC. I'm actually going to Google that quickly just so I know exactly what that is for you guys. But that was something that one of my buddies had pointed out to me a while back for searching chicken in particular. It's just, let me see here. I'm sorry. Let's see if I can find it. I believe it's the National Chicken something. I will have to post that later. I don't want to spend too much time looking for that. But when it comes to chicken, it's hard to know exactly where everything, or get a standard gram, how to weigh it. I like using, because it has everything here from 100 grams to a gram when you're tracking here. So just when they're bringing it out to a restaurant, this is usually my go-to of tracking. I'll type in NCC when I'm looking for just chicken in general. And I will type in how much and eyeball it. Usually when they bring it out at restaurants, you're getting 6 ounces of chicken, 5 ounces of chicken, and I'll type it in just like this. And you can already see add frequently paired foods. That is where you're going to add in your extra oils. If you can already see that I typically account for avocado oil and different things when I go to add this in. So when I am also searching out and about, or when I'm at the restaurant and when I'm trying to figure out when they bring out any meals, I always go to add in butter as well. I'll type in, just use blocked butter. It's a checked marked food on MyFitnessPal, and I'll always use the check marked food like that. When they bring it out, I'll usually add in when I'm going out to restaurants, when I'm getting mashed potatoes, when I'm getting asparagus, when I'm getting anything like that, just because when you type in and you add in those vegetables, it's hard to account for how much fat you're getting. I always aim high with the fats, just due to that's usually what they're throwing on at restaurants. When it comes to adding calories to food, fat is cheap, protein's a little bit more expensive, and carbs are tasty. So that's kind of how I think of how when they design the plate and how they bring it out, I always account for having a little bit more fats. So if I'm going out to a restaurant, I'll typically add in 5 or 6 pats of butter or oil, just depending on where I'm at and what I'm getting there for food. I'm going to close out of this screen real quick. Come to my camera. All right, there we go. I'm going to stop sharing now. There we go. Awesome. So I just wanted to go over real quickly, just for everybody to see a couple of the different ways that can make MyFitnessPal easier for you to use. A couple things that I do when I'm out and about at restaurants, and just really the meaning of the last point is just making sure you account for the fats that are hidden when you are out and just with friends. They sneak in, and a lot of people in their tracking forget about that. So it's just one of the tips I wanted to go over today. And Jennifer, did you have any questions I can help you with? Anything at all as far as that went, as far as the challenge has been going? I don't think so. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording. Thank you everybody for coming and watching. If you have any questions, please let me know.